Jesus is Lord. And he was such a nice Jewish boy. Jesus changed my life, and he's still in the life-changing business.
As Paul said, the love of Christ compels me.
You know, Randy, I think most people don't realize how much darkness there is in the world.
It can't be just coming to church and getting pumped up with a faith message. You and I are all going to have something of faith in us.
Jesus died to save sinners, and you are a sinner.
Shalom and welcome back to CrossTalk. I'm Randy Weiss. I'm a Jewish believer in a Jewish Messiah, and I believe in this Jewish book. I want to read you the words from a Jewish king, King Solomon. In Psalm 127, his words say, "Except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it. Except the Lord keep the city, the watchman wakes, but in vain. It's vain for you to rise up early, to sit up late, to eat the bread of sorrows, for so he gives his beloved sleep." Except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it. A lot of things people do ends up kind of being cast aside. It's unfortunate when folks pursue their own goals in their own way, things sometimes don't work. And I think it's even worse when they do work, but they don't work in a manner that honors the Lord, and then they end up sadly being the director of their own steps. I appreciate you being here to watch our program, CrossTalk. Some of you have followed this program since the early 1990s. Some of you are new to our audience. But what probably most of you don't know is how CrossTalk came to be. And before this iteration of our ministry in television, I had been in ministry for about 20 years before we actually went into a weekly television program. And there was a period of time where I pulled myself out of public ministry because I had kind of reached the conclusion that I really wanted to minister to the Lord more than I wanted to minister to people. I don't know if you know what that means, but I just reached a place where I said, I want to just spend more time telling God how much I love Him, trying to getting to know Him better and more intimately. And people can sometimes get in the way of a minister ministering to the Lord. And maybe that sounds weird, I don't know. But an odd thing happened in my situation. One day at church, a pastor at the church got up in front of the congregation and said, next week, Sunday, is Friends Day. We want everybody to invite a friend to church. Perhaps some of you came to church and you were invited by someone to a church on a Friends Day, so you know what that looks like. But I had reached a place where I was spending all my time studying the scriptures, and I was involved in different Bible colleges and seminaries, and so many of my friends were Christians and loved the Lord, and we would talk about theology and the things of God, and my time was focused on getting to know God better. And even after 20 years in ministry, I think people can have that desire. I hope they can maintain that desire, but an odd thing happened. I recognized that when this pastor had said, bring an unsaved friend to church, and he was specific, bring an unsaved friend to church on Friend Day, I realized my life had been so altered, and I was spending so much time with people who were Christians and in ministry in different capacities. I realized I really didn't hardly know any unsaved people anymore, and it was distressing. I didn't know what to do. So I like to do my Bible study in coffee shops, so sometimes there's waitresses there who don't know the Lord, so I invited the waitresses who I took to be unbelievers to come to church. But I was very dissatisfied. That was not sufficient. And I became anxious, just very anxious, because God's love is so precious and so deserving of being expressed and so important to share with others. And I realized that this season of my life was so involved with people who love the Lord and declare His love that I had to do something different, to go back to telling people who didn't know the Lord about His love. And you might find this odd, but I heard they were bringing on phone counselors for a ministry. And so I went to where they were interviewing people, and I said, "Can I be a phone counselor? Can I come and talk to people about God?" And they said, "Yeah, fill out this application and come back for an interview." And I said, "Well, I just want to talk to people about God on the phone." And they said, "Fill out this application and come back tomorrow evening for an interview." And I said, "But no, you don't understand. I just want to talk to people about God." They said, "Fill out this application, and we're hiring people for being phone counselors." And I says, I don't want a job. I just want to talk to people about God." So they said, "Fill this application out." And so I said, "Well, I'll have to talk to my wife." So I took the application and I went home, and I didn't have it in my heart that I could even tell my wife what I was thinking. I didn't know what to say. So I'm going to tell you something here that I think you need to understand. Be very careful how you pray. My habit was to get up very early in the morning and go pray. And then when I was done praying, I would go study the scriptures. So at morning prayer the next morning, I made the mistake of praying in a very different way. And I don't know if you've ever prayed this way, but I'm going to warn you, be careful about praying this way. At the close of my time of prayer, I just looked up to God and I said, "God, oh God, do whatever you want. Break into my life. But I want to tell people about you." I left morning prayer. I went to the coffee shop. I did my Bible study. I came home, and there was a message on my fax machine from a very dear friend. His name was Harley Kolterman. And Harley Kolterman worked very closely with Dr. Lester Summerall and the Summerall family. Now, some years prior, I had told my friend Harley that I had some television equipment, some production equipment. We used to do some music videos, and I had told him that I had just packed this stuff up and put it in a closet. And I didn't even know how to turn the stuff on. But I said, if you ever come across anybody that's interested in this, just please let me know, because it's just in a closet. Some years had gone by, and the oddest thing occurred. I said that what should have been a very terrifying prayer. So before you ever just open yourself up to God and say, "God, do whatever you want, break into my life," be very, very serious about that, because God waited till that point. And I got home from prayer and study, and the fax machine had a note in my house, and it was from Harley, and it said, "Randy, you still have that stuff? The Summeralls would like to use that stuff and they would like to give you a television program. Hence, CrossTalk. And in just a brief moment, right after we come back, I want to introduce you to Harley Kolterman, my dear brother, who I blame for all of this.